Some cases defy every attempt at explanation, leaving investigators to confront the terrifying possibility that certain truths lie beyond human comprehension. The Elizabeth Andes case represents one such mystery, where documented evidence points toward conclusions that challenge our understanding of reality itself. But first, subscribe to never miss our weekly deep dives into the unknown. It was December 23, 1978, in the quiet college town of Oxford, Ohio. The Miami University campus lay blanketed in fresh snow, its Gothic buildings casting long shadows across the frozen quad. Most students had already departed for winter break, leaving behind an atmosphere of unusual stillness that seemed to press against the windows of the dormitories. Elizabeth Andes, a 23-year-old art student, remained in her apartment at 1120 Anderson Avenue while her roommates had gone home for the holidays. The brunette woman stood 5 feet 6 inches tall, with dark eyes that her professors described as intensely observant. Her neighbors knew her as quiet but friendly, someone who kept regular hours and rarely caused disturbance. According to official police reports, Elizabeth had been experiencing unusual anxiety in the weeks leading up to her death. Her academic advisor noted that she had missed several classes and seemed distracted during their final meeting. What the reports initially failed to mention was far more disturbing. 3 days before her death, Elizabeth had visited the Butler County Sheriff's Office to file a complaint about strange phone calls. The desk sergeant's notes, discovered years later in archived files, described her as visibly shaken. She reported receiving calls at precisely 3:17 each morning, with nothing but the sound of what she described as breathing mixed with a low humming noise. The phone company's technical investigation revealed no record of these calls in their system. The equipment showed no incoming connections to her line during the reported times. Yet Elizabeth's neighbors confirmed hearing her phone ring repeatedly during those early morning hours. On the morning of December 23rd, Elizabeth's landlord, Harold Morrison, discovered her body in the basement of the apartment building. The 54-year-old man had gone to check on a reported water leak when he found her lying at the bottom of the concrete stairs. The initial assessment suggested a tragic accident, a simple fall that had resulted in fatal injuries. The Butler County coroner's preliminary examination supported this theory. Elizabeth had sustained severe trauma to her head and neck, injuries consistent with tumbling down the steep basement steps. Her body showed signs of having struck the concrete multiple times during the fall. The case appeared straightforward, another unfortunate accident during the holiday season. However, the detailed autopsy revealed inconsistencies that transformed the investigation. Dr. Margaret Holbrook, the examining pathologist, noted that Elizabeth's injuries displayed patterns that defied the accident theory. The trauma to her skull showed evidence of multiple impacts, but the angles and severity suggested something far more complex than a simple fall. Most disturbing was the discovery of small metallic fragments embedded in Elizabeth's skull. These particles, barely visible to the naked eye, were composed of an alloy that forensic specialists could not identify. The fragments appeared to have been driven into her skin with considerable force, yet they showed no signs of oxidation or aging despite being embedded in tissue. The basement where Elizabeth died contained additional mysteries that investigators struggled to explain. The concrete floor showed scorch marks arranged in a perfect circle around where her body had been found. These marks had not been present during the landlord's previous inspection just 2 days earlier. The building's electrical system showed no evidence of malfunction that could account for the burning. Detective Ray Hoffman, the lead investigator, documented strange electromagnetic readings throughout the basement. Standard police equipment malfunctioned repeatedly in the area, with radios producing only static and flashlights, dimming without explanation. The department's photographer reported that film exposed in the basement showed unusual distortions, with dark shapes appearing in images where nothing had been visible to the naked eye. Elizabeth's personal belongings revealed another layer of mystery. Her art supplies, scattered throughout her apartment, included dozens of sketches created in the weeks before her death. These drawings depicted geometric symbols and architectural structures that bore no resemblance to any known design. The precision of the line work suggested extensive study of complex mathematical principles far beyond Elizabeth's academic background. Her art professor, Dr. William Carlyle, examined the sketches and expressed bewilderment at their sophistication. The geometric relationships displayed in the drawings required knowledge of advanced calculus and theoretical physics. Elizabeth The investigation took a darker turn when detectives discovered Elizabeth's hidden journal concealed behind a loose floorboard in her bedroom. The entries, written in her distinctive handwriting, described vivid dreams that had begun occurring in November. She wrote of vast underground chambers filled with machinery that hummed with an otherworldly resonance. The journal entries became increasingly fragmented as December progressed. Elizabeth described feeling drawn to the basement of her building, as if something was calling to her from below. She wrote of hearing voices speaking in languages that predated human civilization, voices that seemed to emanate from the building's foundation itself. Most unsettling was her final entry, dated December 22nd. Elizabeth wrote about discovering a hidden room behind the basement's east wall, accessible through a crack that appeared only during the early morning hours. She described entering this space and finding walls covered in symbols identical to those in her sketches. The entry ended abruptly, mid-sentence, the pen trailing off the page as if she had been interrupted. When investigators examined the basement's east wall, they found solid concrete with no evidence of any opening. However, ground-penetrating radar revealed an anomalous void behind the wall, a space that architectural plans showed should not exist. The building's construction records indicated that the basement had been built on solid bedrock, yet the radar suggested a hollow area extending deep into the earth. The case attracted attention from federal authorities when laboratory analysis of the metallic fragments revealed isotopic signatures that did not match any known terrestrial elements. The material appeared to be composed of heavy metals arranged in molecular structures that current scientific understanding deemed impossible. The fragments were confiscated by agents who identified themselves only as representing national security interests. Elizabeth's death was officially classified as accidental, despite the mounting evidence suggesting otherwise. The investigation was quietly closed, and the case files were sealed under administrative order. Detective Hoffman, who had spent months pursuing leads, was transferred to a different jurisdiction without explanation. Dr. Holbrook, the pathologist, reported that her autopsy notes had been removed from medical records and replaced with a simplified summary that omitted the most disturbing findings. The building at 1120 Anderson Avenue was demolished 6 months after Elizabeth's death, officially due to structural concerns. Witnesses reported that the demolition crews worked exclusively at night, using specialized equipment that differed significantly from standard construction machinery. The debris was not transported to local landfills, but loaded onto unmarked trucks that departed the area immediately. Local residents began reporting strange phenomena in the months following the demolition. The empty lot where the building had stood remained inexplicably warm, even during the coldest winter weather. Snow refused to accumulate on the ground, melting instantly upon contact with the soil. Several people reported hearing the sound of machinery operating far below the surface, a low humming that seemed to originate from deep within the earth. The most disturbing development occurred exactly 1 year after Elizabeth's death. On December 23, 1979, 3 different residents of the surrounding neighborhood reported receiving phone calls at precisely 3:17 in the morning. Each caller described hearing the same combination of breathing and low humming that Elizabeth had reported. The phone company's investigation once again revealed no record of these calls in their system. These incidents continued annually, always occurring on the anniversary of Elizabeth's death. The number of people receiving the calls gradually increased, spreading to residents throughout Oxford and eventually to locations across Butler County. The calls always lasted exactly 43 seconds and ended with what witnesses described as a sound resembling Elizabeth's voice, speaking words in an unknown language. Dr. Carlyle, Elizabeth's former professor, became obsessed with understanding the geometric symbols in her sketches. His research led him to obscure texts describing pre-human civilizations and their advanced understanding of dimensional mathematics. He discovered that the symbols matched descriptions found in medieval manuscripts that documented similar phenomena occurring throughout history. The professor's investigation revealed a pattern of mysterious deaths occurring at specific geographic locations, always involving individuals who had somehow gained access to knowledge beyond human comprehension. These cases shared common elements: victims who displayed sudden expertise in advanced sciences, reports of underground chambers or hidden spaces, and electromagnetic anomalies that defied conventional explanation. Dr. Carlyle's research was interrupted when his office was burglarized and all materials related to Elizabeth's case were stolen. The theft occurred during daylight hours in a busy academic building, yet no witnesses reported seeing anyone entering or leaving the professor's office. Security cameras showed only empty corridors during the time frame when the theft must have occurred. The final piece of documented evidence emerged 25 years after Elizabeth's death. Construction workers preparing the former building site for new development discovered a metallic object buried 15 feet below the surface. The artifact, roughly cylindrical and covered in the same geometric symbols from Elizabeth's sketches, was immediately confiscated by federal authorities. The construction project was halted and the site was permanently classified as environmentally hazardous. The Elizabeth Andes case represents more than a single mysterious death. It suggests the existence of forces and knowledge that operate beyond the boundaries of accepted reality. The evidence points toward a truth so disturbing that it requires constant suppression, a secret that threatens humanity's understanding of its place in the universe. What do you think really happened to Elizabeth Andes in that basement, and why would federal authorities work so hard to suppress the evidence? Share your theories in the comments below and subscribe for more cases that challenge everything we thought we knew about reality.